Hey, welcome here to Hoskins, Papua New Guinea. I'm going to take you on a flight back to Goroka, 2 hours flight up to 18,000 feet. But before we do that, there's actually an active volcano just a few miles from here. I'm going to fly over so you guys can see that for yourselves and see what it actually looks like. There's another volcano over there that erupted, I don't know, 15 years ago as well. So we got them all over the place. Fairly quick turnaround, 25 minutes so far. So let's go ahead and get started. Get out of here on our 2-hour flight. Looks to be good weather, not what they forecasted. And I'll share with you guys on exactly how I'm changing my route on the way back and why. Hey, ITT peaks out at 7:04, I think it said. That's pretty normal. I just shut down a few minutes ago and it's really warm out. Okay, well, I fueled for 1150 on the fuel. Let's get the air going. It says it's 100 degrees in here. I'd say close. Maybe not quite that hot, but definitely close. And like I said, we're going all the way up to 18,000 feet because I am the only one on board. I've got 31 kgs of cargo underneath. I just dropped off a whole load of people. That's why I'm going back empty. Moresby at 861. November Tango Kilo taxi.
November Tango Kilo Moresby, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo taxi, Hoskins, Goroka, 1 POV.
November Tango Kilo, no reported traffic.
November Tango Kilo. All stations Hoskins 127.1, Kodiak November Tango Kilo. We'll be back taxi runway 30 for departure Goroka. All stations Hoskins. Well, straight ahead, you can see on the tip of the mountain over there is the volcano where it's kind of brown. I don't know if the camera's going to pick up that far away because that's a good 30 miles away probably. But it's pretty much directly on course back for Goroka. Alright, our fuel caps and selectors are good. Controls are good. I already checked my rudders a minute ago. Switches and instruments were nearly empty. Takeoff performance is going to be rotated at 56 knots. Our flaps set indicated and verified at 20 degrees. My trim set up. Do full right rudder for takeoff. And then as our speed increases, climbing out, then I'll start slowly taking that out. And you can see my trim for my elevators just above the T. That usually works pretty well. On the runway, I'm going to go back to pulse lights for our wing, and then I have my strobes on as well. Ignition is on. Our inlet isn't bypass, and lights are good. We already got our takeoff clearance, which is just our opening our search and rescue. Basically just our flight following. I can put in my Goroka Hoskins. We're just going to invert this back because that particular routing worked pretty well for me getting out here. And I'll bring up on my phone here in just a second and we'll go over the weather before I take off because I don't have any traffic to worry about. Okay, I am starting out here in Kimbe, or really close to Kimbe, the little heart right there, and heading all the way over here to Goroka. There we go. And you can see we've got a big old kind of dark gray cloud right there in between the two islands. And coming out here, I kind of went right in between all those, and they were already up to probably 20,000 feet at just 9 o'clock in the morning. So now coming in at 11:30, probably noon by the time we come out there. It'll be noon by the time we get out. 2 hours more for them to even build even more. They're going to even be bigger. I was going to go down through here, down towards Leh, but it looks like just the north part of the island through Wasu area, and then I'll have to go through kind of Yawan, Dinungat area. That's why I'm planning on going a little bit different way now. All stations Hoskins 1271, Kodiak November Tango Kilo will be departing runway 30 for Goroka, being climb 8000. All stations Hoskins. Ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses. Checklist is complete. Let's get going and show you this volcano. Alright, 1470 on the torque. Airspeed's alive, there's class 50, bump up our ITT a bit, and there's my rotate already at 500 feet. 4 knots of headwind for the climb out. Once we get past 500 feet, then we'll start taking our flaps out. I've shared in other videos, specifically for the Kodiak, the reason why you want to keep these flaps in is because if you cleaned up really soon and then lost your engine at 300 or 400 feet, you cannot recover in less than 500 feet with no flaps. Now that we're out, let's go ahead and call up Moresby for our departure call. Moresby 8861, November Tango Kilo departure.
November Tango Kilo, Moresby, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo departed Hoskins at time 02. We'll be tracking 253 on climb 8000. Estimating overhead Moke, or correction, will be amended destination reporting point Moke at time 33, thence Wasu Goroka, 8000. Let them know I'm changing it too.
November Tango India, Rudder, confirming amended track from Hoskins, Moke, Wasu, then Goroka, confirm.
Affirmative, affirmative, November Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, and second estimate for Moke.
At time 33, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Roger. Unit 1009 and all reported traffic. Moke, call on 124.1.
1009 and 1241 at Moke, November Tango Kilo. So, my original flight plan back to Goroka was, let's see if I have, oh yep, no, there we go, more or less. Starting over here at Candrian rather than here, but it basically comes down here and then goes up the valley through Leh and everything like that. That's a really nice way to go to get around a lot of the weather that builds on all that really dark brown area. That's where all the mountains are, and it builds very, very, very high up by the time we get back. So morning time you can cut through the mountains, but coming back a lot of times it just doesn't work. You have to go IMC, then you're in icing conditions, believe it or not, here in the tropics still. So that doesn't work a lot of the times. But today I'm going back the same way I came, which is just Goroka Hoskins, and we're going to invert that. Now you can see it's more of just a direct line going there. We'll level off here just at 4,000 just for a second until we get here, and then we'll be on our climb up to 18,000. Looking out the direction that I need to go, which is just right there, it still looks pretty clear. Now, if some of you guys are concerned, I'm flying over the active volcano, worrying about ash, things like that. You've heard of stories, don't fly through ash. Today there is absolutely zero ash, and yes, you can tell. I've flown around a lot of volcanoes here. I've seen them actually erupt here as well. You can see when there's ash in the air, and today is a clear day, so it's not putting out any volcanic ash or anything today. I'm not smelling anything as well. A lot of times you can smell it over at Hoskins, and sometimes you'll even see ash out on the ground a little bit. Whether it's from this one or the other one, I'm not 100% sure. This one is just like a huge sulfur pit, and some of you guys that are like super volcano nerds might be like, well, that's not a volcano, that's a blah, blah, blah. I don't actually know what the difference is, if there is a difference, but this one does have like a pit, and there is like, I flew over it a few years ago, and there was like a little tiny like hole kind of thing, but not like the typical mountain volcano that you're probably envisioning right now. I have flown over some of those on the other side of the island, but oh, we don't go over there much anymore. So let's check this out now that we're almost here. Let me slow on down though, so I don't just zoom on by going 140 knots. Okay, there's a couple tiny little poofs of smoke, but it doesn't really go any higher than 50 feet or so. We've got two little things. This is what I was kind of imagining from last time, is it's just kind of like sulfur pit and everything's dead, and interesting nonetheless. We'll go 10 degrees of flaps. Winds are good, 11 knots behind me. That one you can see quite a bit of steam coming out of. It's actually like kind of just blowing out of it. That's really interesting, I think. A lot of times when I come show you these things, it's usually because I actually want to see them, not just show you guys. Believe it or not, I'm curious.
Caution, terrain.
Yes, thank you.
Caution, terrain.
It's crazy to see that there's actually like trees and stuff that have lived up here at one time. Okay, yeah, there is actually a pit right there. And you can kind of smell a little bit of the rotten egg smell. The water looks disgusting. Well, there you go. Now you can say you've flown over a volcano with me. Alright, well, let's go ahead and climb on out of here up to 18,000. Go ahead and clean up our prop as well. Pull that back to 2,000. And we'll bring our ITT up to 720 for the climb, because we have a long ways to go. And typically, weather builds over the island first, and it's really clear over the water. If we look ahead, that looks to be the same case today. A lot of times I would fly down to Mickett and then on over that way. I think I might just do that while I'm in my climb so I don't have to climb through all of that really bumpy convective stuff all the way for the next probably 80 miles. And we'll pitch up for 100 knots on our airspeed for our best rate of climb. Or autopilot back on heading mode, and then our terrain awareness back on. Moresby at 861 November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Moresby.
November Tango Kilo will be tracking up to 15 miles to the right of track through weather.
November Tango Kilo, roger, 15 miles right of track, no reported traffic. And confirming you'll be remaining OCT outside NADA controlled airspace.
At this time, affirmative will remain OCTA. We'll advise if unable. November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo.
Great, well, we're just about passing 17,000 feet. I've got my oxygen on now, and I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Probably not. But there's that little ball in there, and you can adjust it up and down. So we're going to go up to around the 18, and I usually go up a little bit higher because I just don't breathe as good as some people do, I guess. This is called a pulse oximeter, and it's going to check your blood oxygen levels. Because as you go higher, it's harder for your blood to absorb the oxygen. The more I talk, the less oxygen I get because now I'm breathing through my mouth, not my nose. But when I'm not talking, it's usually 96. When I am talking, it's blinking at 87. As you can see, I'm just cresting the edge of the island right here because that's where all the clouds are going to be. Looking ahead out here, you can see all the clouds that had been built up really high up to 20, 30,000 feet. They're all wispy on top, and even the sides of the clouds, they don't have hard edges, which is meaning that they're starting to dissipate. Either raining out, it does look like there might be some rain over there, or they're just dissipating. And that's what the forecast was saying. Around this time, they were supposed to kind of just fizzle out, start moving down that way, which is exactly what they're doing. So my plan is probably to head up here, just around this island, and then cut over here to Wasu, right there. There's 18,000 feet almost, so we'll level off. And I'm imagining there's going to be pretty high buildups along this mountain here. My hope is that there's a gap right through here with Denunga and Nyawan, and usually it's a wide enough valley that I can wiggle my way through there. Worst case, I can go IMC for about 5 minutes at 14,000. And right here, I'm only at 1 degree Celsius positive at 18,000, so this is quite a bit warmer. We're typically at these altitudes, I would probably be showing like -4. Just popped over to 0. So we're 4 to 5 degrees warmer today than a lot of days are at 18,000 feet. Now that I am leveled off at 18,000 feet, you can see my indicated airspeed is just hovering around 119. Typically, if you remember, it's usually like 130. Anywhere below like 12,000 and below, it's usually 130, and the lower you get, it actually gets more and more. But now it's just trying to crest 120, but we're going to now limit ourselves with our ITT. Typically, I'd be limiting myself with the 1250 on my torque, but today we're going to limit ourselves to our ITT of 700. You can also see my fuel flow is all the way down to 260, or typically that'd be right around 300. So I'm burning around 40 pounds of fuel per hour less at this higher altitude, just because the air is thinner and the engine does not need as much fuel to perform the same amount. Well, I'm still at 18,000 feet, and I'm just passing the last little bit of weather for the past, I don't know, half hour or so. It's been pretty uneventful. I did just opt to go ahead and go around all of the weather, starting about halfway through this island all the way down to about this area. And it really wasn't that bad, but I am at 18,000. It says 0 degrees. It's been -1 for the past 20 minutes or so. And there is visible moisture underneath of it, so it means there's going to be moisture up inside of it as well, which I'd be going right through it. That's almost a guaranteed recipe for icing, and I just didn't want to have to deal with it. So I just sidestepped myself about 15 miles off my original plan just to go around it, and now I'm going to start heading more towards Wasu. But my plan is to be able to go through a specific gap over here, right by Denunga. So if I bring my cursor right up in this area, here we go, 10 northeast Denunget. That's what I'm going to put in, because that leads me to the very opening of the valley that I want to go up. If I don't get that, and it looks too like it's just the clouds are too high, or I don't feel like going through there, my only option is to continue on down the mountains. So, 10 northeast Denunget. We're going to just do a direct to that. I'm going to go ahead and make my little bit of a left-hand turn. I can kind of already see a gap in the clouds over there, and I'm assuming that that's what it is, but let's start heading that way. That's the actual valley. Quickly come up to Denunget and then on head out. You can see out there, there's like that kind of trough through the clouds. 18,000 looks like it actually might work. I wasn't so sure even just 2 minutes ago, but as I'm getting closer, I'm kind of seeing further and further, and that they're quite a bit lower, so I might be able to squeak over at 18,000 and I don't have to do anything. If I'm going to have to go through any clouds, I am at negative 2 degrees Celsius, so then I have to drop down to 14,000 feet. Regardless, this is NADZEB's airspace. I was hoping I could maybe stay out of it. Let me actually just see. If we come all the way down here and throw in our descent profile down into Goroka, all the way down to 5,600 feet for basically turning final. And let's say we do it at 900 feet per minute. That puts my top of descent right there. So I probably am gonna need it, but what I'm gonna ask for is maybe clearance on descent. So like a descent through their airspace. Because if we come up here, it starts at 13,000 feet all the way up to 24.5. This one's at 8,000 to 24.5, so this is really the only box I'm worried about. Moresby 124.1, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, mostly good.
November Tango Kilo, no Joy 123.9er. A beam Wasu at this time maintaining 18,000. Estimating Goroka on the hour and requesting to transit NADZEB airspace Wasu direct Goroka on descent 14,000.
November Tango Kilo, note for the traffic OCTA. Confirm you'll be deviating also.
We'll be tracking maximum 5 miles left and right of track Wasu Goroka. November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, roger. Stand by for clearance 14,000.
November Tango Kilo. I can look at these charts here and this screen here, follow those lines up in real life and go, oh, okay, that's exactly where I want to go. How do the clouds look? Yeah, it looks like we can go right over top of everything. And then we'll be starting our descent out here, probably a little bit earlier than the actual top of descent, and work our way down. That way we can figure out how we're going to get into the Goroka Valley, because there's one more range that we're going to have to go over, and we're going to probably be quite a bit lower when we go through that one. Once you figure out all these little like tips and tricks to fly in Papua New Guinea, like this gap works, and we can go up the coastline there, we can go down the coastline down this way and fly up the other valley. Once you figure out all these little different ways, then flying in PNG becomes really enjoyable, and I wouldn't say easy all the time, but much, much easier. You have to think a lot less.
November Tango Kilo, clearance.
November Tango Kilo, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo, ATC clearance to transit control airspace, track Wasu to Goroka, and transit at 14,000 and clear to deviate 5 miles left and right of road.
Clear to transit NADZEB airspace, Wasu Goroka at 14,000, cleared up to 5 miles left and right of track, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, and contact NADZEB approach when transiting control airspace.
Local November Tango Kilo. Alright, NADZEB's airspace I believe is 118.6. Well, I was thinking I was going to need to descend a little bit earlier, but it looks like I could maybe stay up later. I'll have to get a hold of NADZEB's airspace here in a little bit anyway. He's probably going to want to know exactly what radial and everything I'm going over. So I've got my 113.9, says NZ for NADZEB. That's on my number 2 VOR. So if I follow this little blue cyan line, I am basically passing almost like the 355, 356 radial at 32 nautical miles from NADZEB. If you're wondering, does it ever get cold in the cockpit? Yes, it does. It is currently 62 degrees Fahrenheit in here. So I have pretty much all the air turned off, just with a tiny bit of airflow coming through, but yeah, it gets a little bit chilly. I have heaters, but I don't like using them because they're really loud and obnoxious.
November Tango Kilo for DME.
47, November to Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Roger, and you can contact Moresby at 50 DME on 120.7, ticket range 6622 or 8837.
Contact Moresby at 50 DME, 120.7, 6622, 8837. Goodbye, Louis Raiden. November to Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, possible traffic for you is Alpha Tango Bravo and ATR taxiing Goroka for Moresby. This time will be on climb 17000 via the Tomo 1 departure.
Copy, Alpha Tango Bravo, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, good day, Ryan.
He used to be one of our controllers in Goroka at the tower.
Vertical track.
Okay, well, there's top of descent right there. We're just about approaching 50 DME, but let's start going down. I have it set up, we're going down at 900 feet per minute. And it looks like I can already see all the way down into the Goroka Valley. That's the one nice thing about being up high is you can see so much further, and it just makes your descents getting over clouds and into different valleys so much easier. Moresby 120.7, November Tango Kilo transfer.
November Tango Kilo, Moresby.
November Tango Kilo 50 DME to the northwest of Nadzab, left 18,000 on descent, circuit 58 Goroka, copy Alpha Tango Bravo.
November Tango Kilo, Roger, additional traffic, November Alpha Tango -8. Departed Tabubil for Goroka, it's on descent from flight level 230, estimating circuit Goroka 53.
Copy additional November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, and contact Goroka Tower 108.7 at 15 miles.
Contact Goroka Tower at 15, November Tango Kilo. Start up our buddy check for landing. Our fuel selectors are both on. My brakes feel nice and firm. Our terrain awareness will leave on. Our VREF, which is our approach speed, 61 knots. We probably won't come in that low, or slow, we'll come in at 70. Our lights and inlet, we'll leave our pitot heats on just for a little bit longer. We'll throw our lights on for the airplane. Alpha Tango Bravo coming out this way, or he's going up to Moresby, I should say, but if we have to go around, just power up, 20 degrees flaps, pitch for...
Alpha Tango Bravo, departure 49, 7000 on time, 17,000.
Alpha Tango Bravo, copy departure, on climb 17,000, stand by for clearance.
Alpha Tango Bravo.
Let's go over that one more time for our go around. If we have to, it's power up, 20 degrees of flaps. Pitch for 12 degrees on the altitude indicator. Reset our top of the ICT. Goroka Tower, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Goroka Tower, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo, 14 miles to the east, passing 10,300. Copy Alpha Tango Bravo, November Tango, or correction, November Alpha Tango. Your circuit time 5-8.
November Tango Kilo, runway 35 right, QNH 1018, wind 160 at 8 knots. Track from mid-right downwind, report passing 8 miles. Number 2 to traffic, November Alpha Tango.
Confirm mid-right downwind for 35 right, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, apologies. Track for right base, report passing 8 miles.
Track for right base 35 right, reporting at 8 miles, November Tango Kilo.
Goroka Tower, November Alpha Tango is turning final, runway 35 left.
November Alpha Tango, runway 35 left, clear to land and cross.
Little land cross, 35 left, November Alpha Tango.
Okay, we've got an approach speed of 70 knots, so we're going to bring all of our circuit back out. We're going to want 80 knots on our base, and then 90 knots on what would be our downwind, but we're not going to be doing it now. We're going to be entering in. So I'll lay around 4 nautical miles, 5 nautical miles. We're going to start slowing down to our 90 knots. Once we get to like 3...
November Tango Kilo, Goroka Tower, confirm you pass traffic, Alpha Tango Bravo.
Affirmative, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo.
So we get to like 2.5 miles, then we'll be slowing down to our 80 knots, turning final at 70. And over pin kilo 8 miles.
November Tango Kilo, traffic on final. Report sighting, continue approach.
Got him in sight, over pin kilo.
November Tango Kilo, continue approach.
Over pin kilo. Okay. Top and harness, we're 6.5 nautical miles out now. We're just lining up for a nice perpendicular base. There's 5 nautical miles. I'm going to start slowing on down now because I'm going 160 and I want to be closer to 90 here in a minute. So pulling my torque all the way back to like the 400s, prop forward. A little bit of left rudder pressure as I'm slowing down. Turning final 5,600. There's 3.5 nautical miles, 132. Let's go 10 degrees of flaps. There's below 120, there's 20 degrees of flaps. There's pattern altitude. November Tango Kilo right, base 35 right.
November Tango Kilo, continue approach.
November Kilo, continue. I'm gonna wait for the other airplane to cross the end of the runway, I'm guessing.
November Tango Kilo. Question, best track as it exists, runway 35 right, clear to land.
Clear to land 35 right, November Kilo. There's 80, there's full flaps, about 40 feet low. Turning final. Going to
500.
70 knots, I look a little bit low right here though, so I'm going to hold my altitude for a second. 5 knot crosswind. Full knots fast, runway looks clear, we're continuing. 3 knot tailwind.
Traffic, 12 o'clock. Same altitude, less than 1 mile.
Alright, another uneventful flight. That's how I like it. Well, if you made it this far, good job. Thanks for joining me on this flight.